Hi, come on in.
And join in. It's the Very Merry Life. Hi, I'm Mary Hendricks, and you might know me as that relatable AF Mama over on Instagram who hopefully feels like an old friend at this point. And if not, it won't be long till it feels that way as we get raw, unfiltered, and very unapologetic in all things motherhood, marriage, sex, and more. From moments worth savoring to moments worth surviving, get ready to leave feeling seen and supported. You have a friend here now, so hey, take a seat. What's going on? All right. Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode, and this one's going to be a special one.
Oh, yeah. We're here.
I got Kev. Obviously, we haven't done one of these in a while. I think the last time we did one was like a couple of months ago. We did like a coffee chat with Kevin Mayer.
Yeah, it was very, very highly rated coffee chat.
I think it actually did well.
I know it did.
Stat-wise.
It was solely because of me. So.
Pretty much. Anyway, we are going to try doing this at least once a month, just to kind of get on, and either we'll talk, marriage stuff. And that's kind of what, I went through and told you guys that was going to be happening with the podcast is, talking about things that are marriage, motherhood, sex, just merry life, which is the very merry life. And obviously Kev is a big part of my life and marriage is a big part of my life. So that's what we're going to chat about today. And,
let's do it. Let's do it.
And the thing we're going to talk about is Kev and I are currently sitting, and when you see this video, we are, or I am at least a little bit, tad bit rough feeling because we went out last night. We had our first outing as parents of 3 in probably like 2 years without kids.
Yeah, that's true. The last time it was just you and me being out for an extended period of time was probably when we went away at the end of October 2020.
Yeah.
So probably is it.
Well, no, that or the night before we had Haley. Like that was the only time we were like without.
Yeah.
And technically, she was in my stomach, so I wasn't without babies.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I think it was the night before we had her because my parents took my kids, Cassidy and Spencer, and then we went out to dinner and we came home and prepped for the next morning.
Yeah, I would say that no, just in general, where it was just me and you and the kids, it probably was October of 2020.
Oh yeah, that was like for 4 days.
Yeah, which
was needed. All of that's needed. And someone had asked, so we did that last night, and that was needed. Just nice. And I shared on Instagram, I went through it and everything, and the one response on the way home, I just put a boomerang of us driving, and I said, it was good. And I said, but it is awkward at first, like us getting out. And I wouldn't say like awkward in a bad way. It's just like you have to like, we haven't had that in a while.
Yeah.
So
I think the dynamic was we really didn't know anyone there besides like our immediate friends as well.
Yeah, but that forces us to have to chat with one another, which is like something we don't often do. Like we don't small talk one another, and every conversation then goes back to the kids.
Yeah, no, that's
like,
true.
It always just goes right back to the kids.
That's very true.
And I feel like you just forget how to have a conversation outside of...
Or your conversation is constantly interrupted.
Yeah, you forget. So it was like, and eventually it like loosens up and then you talk and it's fine. But it's like, it takes you a little bit to like introduce yourself again, which I think is like something that people don't anticipate.
I would say that, yeah.
And it's weird, but then it was needed. At the end of the night, it was good.
Like it was. To understand for people that don't understand what we were doing or where we were, it was an event for something here in New Jersey, the Honor Legion, which is out of Bergen County, really, which is very far from where we live.
Yeah,
very far. To get there was like 80 plus miles for us to drive. So the logistics in and of itself hampered, us getting too rowdy at this soiree.
Yeah.
But, they throw 2 events a year. This is the one for spring and summer, and then they do one in the fall and the winter. But it's a very good event. It goes for a good cause for fallen officers and officers that went above and beyond in the line of duty.
Yeah.
And, my in with them is one of our friends, and really that's the only person I know in it.
Yeah.
So it's when you got there, I mean, I recognize people's faces from seeing them before, probably at the event, but I don't know them, so I'm not going to be talking with them very fluidly. So, yeah, there is that awkwardness in and of itself of going somewhere to an event. And for the most part, it was not a black tie affair, but...
It was nice. It was like a wedding.
Yeah, a wedding. And, there's that element there, and then just walking in, like, imagine going to a wedding where nobody knows who you are, and you're the, except, like...
Yeah, so, I mean, that was there, but again, that's what, like, it turned to us. Like, you and I had to, like, stand and talk. Yeah. Like, again, we haven't been in that position where we could do that. Like, we talk all day, but again, it's...
Yeah.
Like, if you think about what our conversations consist of these days, it's... Like me right before this getting on telling you that I need a poop scraper for Haley. Like that's like that. Or how'd school go for the kids? What did you do at school today? Like, were you guys good for mommy? Like that's what our conversations turn into.
Home,
or what's happening with work.
Yeah.
And then we get the kids down to bed and we sit down and we watch Netflix or some show and that's it. So it's just like that's where life has evolved, and it's like that's why it was so needed to get out.
And that's not to also say that's not normal. That that's not like something that happens very, very common. It's not something that we actively did per se.
What?
Like the dynamic of how the day usually goes, the mundane, the innocuous stuff in and out, and that's just part of life.
Yeah, well, I think it's part of it, but I think it takes conscious effort of getting out of that, and that's why I think last night was so needed, and I think it's something that we need to, and I mean, you and I talked about that, is just like making that a priority of getting out, and someone asked when I talked about it, she said, do you ever feel guilty for like date nights, for putting you and your spouse first? And I said, absolutely not.
Well, no, yeah, you need that.
You need that. You need that foundation. You guys are the ones that started it all. You need that foundation. If you guys aren't strong, nothing else is. And I always like, it's not fun. Like, Kevin and I had that conversation a little while ago, and I said, I don't want to be, like, we have little kids. We're in a season of life where our life is a lot. Like, It's just that way. But we have great kids. We have, we do have some support and help. And I think we take advantage of that, and we have to push ourselves. And I think the more you do it, the easier it gets. And same thing with sex. Like, I think sex too. Like, sex is one of those things, the more you do it, the more you crave it. And the more you fit it into your life.
Yeah.
And that's like a big thing. And I recently talked about, I think you guys, if you're listening now, this is out on, whatever Tuesdays after May 5th. I don't know what day that is, but you'll hear it in a couple of days. Because we're recording this on Friday, May 5th. But I have a guest coming on soon who's a couples therapist. And she said that too. She's like, you've got to get in that rhythm. And it's rough at first to find that rhythm. But the more you do it, and I think that's what, I'm 14 months postpartum. And Haley's 14 months old. Like, we're finally I feel like I can pop my head up and breathe a little bit.
I mean, we went through it before.
Oh, yeah.
We've this isn't any road we haven't traversed before.
No.
And but the dynamic changes when you add more kids to it. And this really was the first night it was you and me out for any extended period of time.
Yeah. And I think we just have to keep it going. Yeah. I think we just have to, like, now we have a babysitter now. Like, we have people in our lives where we can, like, make this happen. Not that we have to leave, but I think just getting out and just you and I going out to dinner for like an hour. Yeah.
No, I'm a very big proponent of that.
Or even not. You don't have to like go out on a date night. Like that's another big thing too.
You wanted to just stop and eat at Boston Market when we were out.
I know, I did. Boston Market. Oh, mashed potatoes and corn.
Yeah. Then you really be hurting today if you ate that.
I know.
But I think in general, I think events like that are also important for camaraderie and a lot of work that I do. But still, it's just fun to do something like that to make you feel like a human again. And even you and I talk about like how people cared for themselves a lot and presented themselves a lot better in a dated period of history in our country, like in the 30s and 40s when people would wear like suits to go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And, it's good to see people, especially in this post-COVID dystopia we live in, to see people together and wearing suits.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
That was weird. I said that to Kev because we're walking and we're like, it was a formal event. Like, if you think about it, it was just like a wedding, except no bride and groom. And I had to keep reminding myself of that because that's what you expected almost. Yeah. But they did it out in New Jersey. Like, New Jersey weddings are a little, I'm just going to pretend it's a wedding, but New Jersey, the way like events are usually run, especially weddings, are a lot. Like, it's a lot compared to like weddings I've been to. Like, remember the weddings in like the Midwest that we've been to?
Yeah,
it's just like completely done different.
There's more,
And I think it's just the venue options that are out here. But like pretending this is a wedding, like we had a cocktail hour and then you went into the formal event, and the cocktail hour is like abundant. Like if you don't know that is just the precursor, you will ruin the dinner that's going to be coming in awaiting you. And it's like wild. They have like a Chinese station, a Mexican station, an Italian station, pizza, meat carving station,
cheese.
Yeah, like cheese boards. Like, it was wild. But I forget what I was about to say now.
You were just explaining how it's
like, my mom brain literally just shut off.
Talking about post-COVID.
Okay, okay. So, and seeing all this stuff, people like walking around, and there's like 100 people, 100 plus people in this vicinity, and like you just go up and serve yourself and things like that, and you're like, I think I saw one person wearing a mask, which is cool.
Probably, you're had a reason.
That's fine. But it's just funny, like, and I said to Kev while we were there, and I was like, can you believe that we had a pandemic that happened where all of a sudden it was like, don't even go with it. What was it, like 6 feet of each other?
Yeah, where we had this keep your distance, don't gather type stuff, and it's just, I think a lot of people don't even realize how contorted our daily lives became, and now.
Yeah, well, it's weird, like, thinking back on that. I'm like, that was so wild.
Yeah.
That was a wild, wild time. And it's almost like a dream almost. Now that we're here, I'm like, that actually happened.
Yeah, and more people just became comfortable not going out or doing anything like that. So to see this kind of advent of people coming out of their homes again and people being more comfortable going to these events, I think that's really important.
Yeah.
To return to normalcy.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was good. Did you feel like a human again?
Well, I mean, for us together, this was the first time. I travel a lot for work as well. I go to other events, like I went to the Honor Legion Casino night.
That's true. Yeah. You get reminded of being human a lot more than I do.
Well, yeah, but to say that it's not intentional per se. I'm not doing it.
But you have, that is the perk of you leaving the house every day. Is that you get to interact with human beings. That was actually something that I was like nervous about, was like me getting out. Well, one, I was nervous about it a lot of us leaving because one, we were driving together, and what happens if
the parents in Jumanji.
Yeah, the parents in Jumanji. We're just gonna drive off a cliff by accident.
R.I.P.
Yeah. So I was afraid of that, and I hate leaving the kids. And then I was just afraid of like social interaction. You're like, I don't talk to many people outside of Instagram and social media on a phone or my children.
Yeah.
I don't really have like people in my life that I'm like talking to consistently enough to like remind me. And even then I got out to this event and it was a great conversation, but even then it turned into a talk about motherhood.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you go with what you feel,
which is fine. Well, it's our life, so I don't mind it, but it was just, that was a good conversation, by the way, too. She was talking about the lady I met. We were talking, and she was saying she had her 4-year-old son who's speech delayed. Mm-hmm. And the moment she said that, I was like, you perk up, because you're like, you meet someone else. We went through it. And she was saying, but what was actually, and I felt bad because she was saying, she's like, I carry so much guilt. She said, because I work. And she said, when I finally like came home during pandemic, he started improving.
Yeah.
And she said, and then I felt bad because now I'm working. Is it because I was working?
Yeah.
And I said, no.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way. So if you guys are listening and like feel that way, like please don't feel guilty for that reason. I said, like, there's so many factors to like a speech delay situation like that. And I said, for us, and I told her, I said, I'm a stay-at-home mom and my child was speech delayed.
Yeah.
So, and I said, I'm with my kids every waking second. I was always talking to her. Like I was doing all the things that, she was guilting herself over. I did that. and we still ended up with a speech delayed child. It has nothing to do with that. I honestly, and I told her, I said, kids do things at their own pace. It's the way their brain processes information. And I said, it's nothing against you. And I said, would you get mad if you have to hire a tutor for math because they don't understand math? I was like, that's all it is. It was just a language thing. It's them learning a language at the end of the day. I say, I think we don't think about that. They have to learn English.
Yeah.
It's weird if you think about it. Like, that's a thing. Like, they have to learn it.
I think that, the way that things progressed when 2020 to 2021 or 2022, everything was like virtual, and you don't get the same interactions that you get in person. That part of how people learn is talking with people in person, that in-person experience with teachers and stuff, with all the schools being closed.
Yeah, well, pandemic definitely threw a lot of
things
wrenches into delays and stuff like that. But yeah, no. So if anyone's listening, please just know that, because I know that we can do a talk one day about speech delay. We've been through it. We still are working through it. We actually just got a call yesterday. I talked to Cassidy's school because she's in an IEP program right now for preschool. So she's at the public school already, and next year she'll be starting kindergarten. And I've talked about this before, especially on Instagram, and I'm always here to, questions and stuff like that. So if you guys are listening and have a question, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to kind of share what we've learned through the process. But she was in an IEP program, which in and of itself was really fucking hard to get her into that. That was like a shit show. It was annoying.
That was strong feelings.
Long story short, Cassidy was diagnosed with a speech delay at 2. We received early intervention. This was during the pandemic. So speech delay, she got diagnosed and the pandemic hit. So then everything went virtual.
Which didn't help.
Which did not help. And then when 2 to 3 ended, they technically are done with early intervention through the state. So now at 3, we had to get her evaluated for the public school system to see if she would qualify for continued services through the public school system. And so we did that, again, still during the pandemic. And she, as quote unquote, what they told me, said she's not where she should be, but she's not bad enough. Yeah. She doesn't qualify. Yeah. So we were instructed to get her into a preschool separately, so that way we can continue socialization, in hopes that would be the thing that would pick her up. And it didn't. Not only did it not do that, she regressed. Yeah,
because she's ahead in certain areas and behind in the speech. So I think what happened is,
she just wasn't going to preschool that they needed to. Like, she just wasn't getting the extra assistance from people who knew what they were doing.
Exactly, yeah. To focus on that, because
to really reinforce the speech and stuff like that. So around May of last year, exactly a year ago, when pandemic stuff really started to taper back, because we had a private speech therapist, but they were all virtual. Yeah, and I didn't want that. It was very hard.
It was
to find it.
People don't until you actually have to be involved with it.
Yeah, it's hard. So I didn't want to go virtual. I found a speech therapist that would do it in person, an hour away. We went there. We did it a few times, and then she actually recommended virtual, which I was really hesitant about. And funny enough, for as much hesitation as I had, Cassie's actually flourished.
Oh yeah,
with virtual speech therapy. And I think I credit our speech therapist. She's just awesome.
Yeah, and she has the interactive stuff where it's not just her.
Yeah, it's not just her sitting she does games and stuff like that. But we had this new speech therapist, when we were in person, reevaluate her, and she handed me the evaluation. She said, you take this to your public school, and they will have to let you in based off of my evaluation. Oh, yeah. So I did that, and I prepared for a fight because I thought that they were going to kind of turn me away. And thankfully, I have friends of mine who are occupational therapists and things like that who I talked to and said, if that happens, then you can get an advocate. So FYI, anyone listening, if you are getting pushback, you can get a child advocate that will literally come in and fight for you and know the things to say and know the things to do, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have to go that route, thankfully, and they accepted her, and that's where Cassidy is now, at this public school system where she should have been. Yeah. But she, got in, and now she'll be going into kindergarten, and the progress she's made is amazing, to a point where she doesn't even qualify for an IEP next year, which is a good thing.
Is it IEP or EIP?
No, IEP.
Early intervention?
No. Oh. I don't know what it stands for. IEP, but I know it's IEP.
Because I would think EIP is Early Intervention Program.
No.
We'll be back after a quick break. Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
No, because I don't think it's, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know what that stands for. I'll Google it afterwards. But
Google it.
Anyhow, so she'll be qualified. I just got off the phone and they said she no longer qualifies. They still do recommend private speech therapy because Cassidy has articulation issues, which is due to jaw malformation stuff. She's an underbite. That's like in addition to all this other shit that we're going to be revisiting at a later date. Hopefully she'll probably end up with braces at a very young age, and fingers crossed doesn't turn into anything more, but potentially even surgery, which I don't like the idea of, but I would do it if we need to. But anyway, long story short, that's where we're at with speech delay stuff. I'm like amazed by Cassidy. She's a smart little cookie.
And it's such it's almost like a taboo area for parents to talk.
Well, because
to
you feel like you failed.
Yeah.
It's like your first failure.
It doesn't matter how much you read. It doesn't matter how much you do, and it really doesn't matter. Like that's what.
Well, because you question everything, and like I know for us when Cassidy got diagnosed with it, like a speech delay and whatever. Like I remember you and I being like, "What did we do?" Like, like we toyed with it. Like, is it something I did? Like, is it something that we got nervous for a while that it was autism. Yeah. So that we even got like freaked out by that. Like, did I pass this down? I think you even said that. Like, is this something from?
Yeah. But again, there's a myriad of things that run through your head, and I think in an experience like we had last night, where that was purely organic, like that wasn't like anything where, other than meeting that person there and you talking to her about it, would we have known? You wouldn't have known that person was going through it. And that's what's interesting about.
Well, and you could see the hesitation though when she was talking. She was like, "I just feel so guilty. Like I work full time, and then it got better when I was home." So she was like, the guilt I carry," and I'm like, "It wasn't you." Yeah,
it was. I'm sure it was the
it wasn't you. And she said, "But why did he get better when I was home?" And I said, "Were you home after you knew that he had a speech delay?" And she said, yes. And I was like, because you were aware of it.
Yeah. And then you start to pick up on it.
And then you pick up on the things that you have to talk differently, because you do. You have to break down. Like, that's like Cassidy's progress that she's made has not happened solely because she's at school. She goes to school 5 days a week for 2.5 hours. It's not because of that. It's because we get the learning lessons so we can
and we
figure out how to talk to her in a way that breaks down language. If you think about it, like, think of if you've ever taken a French or Spanish class, like the way your teacher talks to you is different than how someone who is a natural speaker of the language is going to talk to you. And that's what she had to learn in order to help you learn the language, if that makes sense. Like
phonetics, breaking down.
And that's what your speech therapists and your occupational therapists are going to teach you, is a different way to restructure your sentences, the way you're speaking, so that way you can help the speech delayed child or delayed child in any way pick up on it better. Yeah. And that's why I said to her, I was like, he got it, not because you were home. It was because you were aware. Yeah. That's it. You were aware, so you were able to restructure the way you were approaching the situation. Like, that's it. So I felt bad that she felt that way, because I think working moms, working parents in general feel guilty.
Parents shouldn't have to feel that way.
Parents feel guilty for reasons for everything we do.
Especially the trolls that make you feel guilty.
Yeah, except not so much anymore. They do sometimes, but not really. Like, why?
There's different. I guess. You
said to me last night that actually is in my brain, because when we were on the drive, you said, you are already living rent free in your brain. Don't feed into it. But I kind of like that.
It's true.
Because I'm like, I'm not going to give them the time of day to live rent free in my brain. But suck a fart, I'm now living rent free in your brain.
Exactly. You're the one that went through the...
Whatever you felt because you saw a piece of content I made, that's on you.
We're such... well, again, we're in a... We celebrate trolling in our society. We do. You know, there's people who make comments just for the sake of making comments to see how many people will like it, and just because it's contrary.
It's like, it makes them feel important.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing about... you know, what beer somebody's drinking or something like that. And it's just like that, because that's what we've devolved to. And I think that's
it's like that. What's that called? It's like group mentality.
Group think, but it's also like we've devolved into a society like that. And that's why events like last night, or just events in general, where you actually go out and talk to people is important, because you lose that. You lose the understanding of how we are social beings, and we're supposed to be doing things like that, and how, you know, being cooped up in your house or on your phone 18 hours a day, just getting content berated in your face, and then you just want to say something to be, again, it's just, I get frustrated with that.
Well, it's nice to like be reminded, but also like what is frustrating is like you see these people online, or even just like last night, you're in this room full of people who are like ordinary people, just everyday people that you pass by. And now that because of online, this shit I see people commenting, you're like, you pass by someone ordinary in the grocery store and they're like, what's their online life like? Yeah. What are they doing online? That's like super fucking nasty and terrible to others, because that's like what I think about now, where I'm like they could be a saint of a person next door, living next door, and like a terrible human being online. Like I feel like it takes down everyone's guard. They think it's like it's like an inner evil comes out online, because they think there's no repercussions. They think it's
I think that's,
you know, I think people look at me and they're like, oh, she's just, you know, she's an online personality, and who gives a shit what we say to her? Like, we can tell her she's a terrible human being, because it won't, like, people think it's not going to stick, and they forget that I mean, you guys will see a video snippet of this. Like, Kev and I are sitting in sweatpants, and I have glasses on, and
I have no pants on. You can't tell. You can't tell.
Yeah, just sitting with his balls out.
Yeah, on a metal chair.
What?
On a metal chair.
Ooh.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Yeah, but anyway, we're just, you know, we're ordinary people, and like, I'm an ordinary person too, and you know, I get shit said to me that I don't think you would ever say to a human being in real life.
They want to do it. They want to do it in real life.
Like, for like the conversation I had last night with this mom about speech delay, if I were to put that online, someone...
It's your fault.
...would say that, but yet, like, if I were in conversation saying that, would someone be like, stop me and be like, hey, you know it's your fault, right?
Well, you can't, because that's part of not being in that social tribe anymore. It's like when you get divorced from that, you think that, you know, you could say whatever you want and there's no repercussions. I mean, there was just a case out of Florida where they locked some kid up who was threatening the sheriff down there because the sheriff had said something they disagreed with on TV.
And what, are they like threatening them with violence?
And basically was trying to rally the troops on these dumpster fire of posting places like Reddit and 4chan. And then the parents even said, he's not a kid, he's an adult, he's unemployed, doesn't have many friends, and spends all his time on the computer.
Yeah, well, computer scares me. That's why we're like gonna limit this shit with our kids as they get older.
The computer scares you.
Well, I know the computer scares Kev. If anyone new is listening, Kev works and is like a expert in cybercrime, dark web investigations. So the shit you see and know about is scary. But yeah,
I think we had a good talk today. Coffee chat.
Yeah.
With no coffee.
Coffee chat. No coffee.
Coffeeless chat.
Kevin's balls are out on a metal chair.
Are they? I don't know. Could they be? Or am I wearing pants?
That should be the next, that should be like the question. Is like, we'll just film from this angle up and be like, are we or are we not wearing pants in today's episode? What's your guess?
I would guess no, but I've guessed wrong before because I am wearing pants.
All right. Well, we're at 30 minutes. That's a good time.
It was, yeah.
Good time zone.
You got to hop on a call too. So
yeah, I do. Oh shit, I do. Okay. Well, thanks guys for checking in. And again, this is going to be like monthly for everything. And I'll probably do like questions on Instagram. That way Kevin and I can chat about it or whatever. But if you guys like have a conversation, like something in, that involves like sex life or marriage or anything like that, like direct them to me. And Kevin and I will chat about it because, we want to break down the shit and kind of normalize life after kids.
Yes.
Married life after kids. So.
Yes. We'll see you later.
Bye. Another episode down and way more to go. But thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you would like to help support this podcast, I would love for you to subscribe. I'd love for you to share it with others and post about it on your own social media or leave a rating and review. I cannot tell you how helpful and how appreciated those things are for me. Of course, to catch all the latest from me, you can follow me over on Instagram at The Very Merry Life, over on TikTok, The Very Merry Life. And even if you wanted to check out my monthly newsletter, you can do so by subscribing over at theverymerrylife.com. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned for more honest, raw, real chit chat. I have some amazing moms lined up coming on, and shit's going to get fun. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's going to be good.